It's about a celebrity reportedly agreeing to hand over a bunch of electronic items to the authorities. When you look at the list, it includes phones, laptops, and computers, and people are wondering why there were so many. Well, think about it. Most big households have tons of devices for family, work, and personal use. Nothing too wild there. But here's what really caught attention. The paperwork mentions that more items could still be reviewed later if any new connections are found. So basically, the story might not be over yet. Let's see how this unfolds, because it's definitely getting people talking that it's going to be challenging for investigators to prove everything unless they can clearly establish repeated activity. However, what's already been shown in court is that certain payments were made for transportation, accommodations, and personal expenses through company accounts. If those financial links are confirmed, it could result in significant financial losses for the parties involved. Now, let's break this down. There are generally two main categories when it comes to forfeiture. The first involves proceeds, meaning anything directly earned through unlawful means. The second involves facilitation of property, which refers to assets used in connection with a criminal act, even if they weren't bought with illegal funds. For example, this could include a property, vehicle, or workspace that was allegedly used to assist or enable the unlawful activity. Even if a property wasn't purchased with illegal funds, it can still be subject to forfeiture if it was used to carry out or hide unlawful activity. Certain federal laws automatically trigger these rules when specific offenses are involved. The key phrase in the agreement mentions any homes, residences, or properties used to facilitate or connected to the offense. That wording gives authorities broad power to pursue locations tied to the case, not just financial assets. Importantly, prosecutors don't need to prove everything right away. Investigations of this nature often take time. Later, if evidence shows that a residence, studio, or other property was used to support or conceal illegal conduct, it can be classified as a facilitation property under federal law, and therefore subject to forfeiture, even if it was purchased legally years earlier. The agreement itself doesn't mean everything is immediately surrendered, but it does limit the ability to challenge certain actions. Essentially, if a clear link is proven, the government can still pursue those assets through the forfeiture process. But here's something to consider. When a property is leased under someone's name, authorities can potentially intervene and restrict its use if it's connected to unlawful activity. Even more significant, though, are the financial records. Evidence presented in court indicated that business accounts were used to cover various expenses that were later linked to questionable activity. Now, if a rented space such as a home, hotel, or short-term rental was used in connection with any illegal conduct, it could be classified as facilitation property. This means it can fall under forfeiture laws, depending on how it was used. Legal advisors often caution against using personal or primary residences in such cases, as those could be at greater risk. Ultimately, it all comes down to intent. If a property or transaction was knowingly used to support or conceal wrongdoing, that intent becomes a central factor in determining forfeiture eligibility. Now, here's where things get more complex. When it comes to rented properties, like short-term rentals, hotel rooms, or leased homes, the owners themselves are usually considered innocent parties if they had no knowledge of any wrongdoing. However, the leaseholder's right to occupy that space can still be affected if the property was used to support or conceal unlawful activities. In such cases, those rentals can be classified as facilitation properties, even if they weren't owned by the person under investigation. What makes this even more serious is how the payments were handled. If business or corporate funds were used to rent or outfit those spaces, the money behind those transactions could be treated as traceable proceeds, meaning financial accounts, transfers, or credit cards linked to those payments might be subject to seizure. Prosecutors generally prefer clear, well-documented evidence, such as payment receipts, booking records, or communication logs, before moving forward with forfeiture actions. In practice, they rarely go after primary residences or major assets unless the evidence trail is strong enough to prove intentional misuse. Temporary rentals, on the other hand, are often seen as more straightforward cases. The key factor is intent. If it's proven that business accounts were knowingly used to fund illegal conduct, that turns the issue from a moral lapse into a financial crime. It can also expose the company itself to liability, since corporate assets may be considered part of the wrongdoing. From there, the Department of Justice can seek forfeiture of any corporate accounts, balances, or assets connected to the transactions, even if those funds were later mixed with legitimate money. This might include equipment, vehicles, studio gear, or even ownership stakes in business entities. This approach has been used before in major financial crime cases to freeze assets or dissolve companies involved in illegal operations. Prosecutors don't need to prove that an entire company was corrupt, only that one account was knowingly used for an unlawful purpose. Evidence such as wire transfers, accounting entries labeled for events or travel, or internal emails approving suspicious payments can all serve as proof. Finally, even if no criminal conviction is reached, authorities can still file civil forfeiture actions against the property itself. On top of that, tax investigators can get involved to check for false business deductions or financial misreporting. Essentially, the financial paper trail becomes just as important, if not more, than the original allegations. Funds that were proven to be used for questionable activities can technically be classified as forfeitable proceeds. If those payments were made from business accounts, authorities may have grounds to reclaim or freeze the related assets. Even if the accounts were emptied, financial investigators can use what's known as a recovery or clawback process to trace and retrieve funds that were moved during an ongoing investigation. In some cases, they can even place a lien against properties purchased or maintained with those funds. Any property or asset connected to those transactions becomes traceable property, and the company itself can face legal action or account freezes if it was used to facilitate financial misconduct. This is one of the quickest ways for an investigation to expand from an individual case into a larger financial inquiry, because corporate records and money trails are often easier to verify than witness testimony. So, with everything unfolding, this situation could continue to escalate through 2025 as financial and legal reviews move forward. What do you guys think? Could this be the beginning of a much bigger financial case? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. When the cameras stop flashing and the reporters pack up their gear, what's left behind are the questions no one can answer. The courtroom may be empty now, but the echoes of every word still linger. Every look, every tear, every headline, it all adds up to a story that refuses to fade away. People have moved on to the next big story, the next trending tag, the next viral post. But somewhere out there, behind the noise, are the people who lived this, the ones who watched their world collapse in slow motion. They say time heals everything, but time can also remind you of what was lost, of what can never be fixed, and of how fragile the truth really is. For Diddy, the future is uncertain. The walls around him may be concrete, but it's the silence that weighs the heaviest. There are still appeals, still rumors, still whispers about what might come next. But behind all of it, there's a man who once had it all: fame, power, legacy, now reduced to waiting and wondering if there's any way back. And for those watching, the story means something different. Some see a fall from grace. Others see a lesson about pride, trust, and how fast loyalty disappears when the lights go out. Every story like this leaves scars, not just on the people involved, but on everyone who believed in them. The fans, the families, the friends who defended them when no one else would. They're the ones who feel the weight of every new headline, every leak, every rumor. And yet, even now, there's a strange sense of hope floating in the chaos. Because the truth has a way of finding light, even when buried under noise and doubt. Maybe one day the full story will come out, unfiltered, unedited, raw. Maybe people will finally understand what really happened behind those closed doors. Until then, this is where it stands. A broken story. A man caught between the past and whatever comes next. A world watching, still divided, still searching for answers. The debates will keep going. The arguments will keep spreading. But when all the shouting fades, only the truth will remain, and it never stays hidden forever. So tonight, as the world scrolls past another headline, remember this. Every scandal, every rumor, every public fall hides a private reality no one ever sees. And somewhere in that quiet, far from the cameras, the real story is still being written. It's not over.